in the future, I want to just kind of like try to do things better.
Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker's got some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Consider liking the video and check that you're still subscribed. I would be so appreciative. And while you're here, don't forget to go watch my other videos. Okay, my nuggets. I have been ambiently keeping an ear to the ground for Eugenia activity, and I hadn't really gone into a deep investigation as to what's happening until I kind of got the wind up me, and I thought maybe you might be interested in what I found as well. So I thought I'd do a Eugenia update video. So, as at time of recording, we are 47 days into just radio silence from Eugenia. And I think it's starting to look a little bit more evident from this perspective that we're probably not dealing so much with a grief situation any longer, but probably more so either to do with being demonetized or potentially she's unwell, and we really wouldn't know, would we? Now, there have been some people saying that she has been spotted on Jeffrey's lives interacting in his chat. I haven't been able to confirm that myself since I flat out refused to watch Jeffrey live stream, and I hope you forgive me for that, my nuggets. But that wouldn't surprise me at all. So as we're looking through her Instagram, her YouTube, and her TikTok, none of these channels have had any activity at all from Eugenia. Now, I can actually confirm that the rumors around an app called Lemon 8 are true. That is lemon with a numeral 8. She did start this account shortly after getting the ban on TikTok. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Lemon 8, now they call themselves like a lifestyle community social media kind of app, but really what it boils down to is it's essentially TikTok under another name. It went through a full integration with TikTok. It is owned by the TikTok parent company, and when you open the app, it even says it's powered by TikTok. And what's more is when you log in, you can use your TikTok account, which made me kind of wonder. It would seem odd to me if somebody was demonetized for breaking terms of service on TikTok. Why would that not continue to translate to your account on Lemon 8? I don't know. I can't find any confirmation whether they do transfer like that, but we have seen some reposts on her account. She's very gradually gaining more followers, but Lemon 8 is just not as much of a popular app as what TikTok is. So initially, she just dumped a whole bunch of videos on there when she first opened the account. But 6 days ago or 7 days ago, at time of recording, she did put up this SpongeBob makeup video. So there is more recent activity on this account. However, on closer examination, this is actually a post that she put up on the 5th of January of this year. So it is a direct repost from that. Now, this original post for the SpongeBob makeup on TikTok was actually a sponsored thing, and it was labeled sponsored. So that was an ad that she was doing. But on Lemon 8, it doesn't have the same information. So I don't know if she's maybe putting that out because they'll pay her again. So she's kind of trying to get money from the same video, or maybe it's literally just reposting old content. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't explicitly say on Lemon 8 that it is a sponsored product. So we're not actually seeing any new content being created. And that does kind of make me wonder a little bit, because without Eugenia actually presenting herself on camera in a kind of real-time situation, it is absolutely plausible that it could be a family member or a friend posting for her, like on her behalf. So what do you think about that? Do you think this is actually her? It always unsettles me deeply when Eugenia does these extended periods of time away with no explanation. Because of the obvious chicken in the coop situation, it's worrying, right? It is extremely concerning. And I think a lot of you are with me when I say that your mind kind of does go to the worst case scenario. Now, this is not the first time that Eugenia has gone AWOL with zero communication in recent history. In January of last year, so the 4th of January 2024, she went through an age restriction on TikTok. And we did see a little bit of a hissy fit surrounding this situation at the time, where she just absolutely refused to check in on any platform at all. And what this seemed to boil down to was two things. She couldn't receive gifts and memberships, and she couldn't participate in battles with her quote unquote friends without them also being age restricted in that moment. So essentially, if she entered into a battle with them and they had underage people, those people would have been kicked out of the live at that point. So I guess she felt like she didn't want to impose that on people. And what I actually found interesting was when I scrolled all the way to the bottom of her TikTok account, she has actually deleted everything prior to that ban in 2024. Now, during that ban, she was only gone for about a month. And something about TikTok that I don't like is they do acknowledge that they will ban and they will age restrict and demonetize. But in all of their T's and C's, the wording is that it is at their discretion. There's no set interval saying, oh, you're going to receive a 60-day ban for this activity or a 90-day ban for this activity. There's no range and there's no clear consequences for the breaking of terms and conditions, which does concern me, of course, because that puts all of the power into that company's hands. And I believe in the right to be able to accurately predict the consequences to the actions that you choose. And when you have a company that is being kind of that vague about it, I'm sure they're doing it as like a way to discourage people from breaking T's and C's in the first place, because if they don't actually know what could happen, it could be the absolute worst thing that could happen. For today's ban, to clarify, it seems like she's been completely demonetized this time, whereas last time she was just age restricted. So these are two very different things. So what I wanted to do was actually just take a little look back at what she had to say about her age restriction in 2024 and do a little comparison to what's going on now. So this is kind of where her TikTok picks up from today, since she's deleted almost everything except a weird video with Jeffrey that we can see there. It was her return video and her explanation for what was going on.
Yes, so I just kind of wanted to come on here and say that I'm sorry that I haven't really been posting or been around. There's kind of just been like a lot going on, and honestly, I just haven't really been like feeling like mentally up to it, I guess, right now. Some of you guys might have seen or figured out that there's been like some pretty big changes to my account right now. And first of all, I just want to be clear that, like, I respect TikTok's decision and everything. And I'm really sorry for anything that I may have accidentally done wrong, like on my end.
Now we're going to go into the reasons why she got this age restriction, because she really doesn't touch on it. I have edited this video because it is very cyclic. She repeats herself a good 5 or 6 times, just going around and, accidentally doing things and trying to do the best, and that she's going through something right now. But something that I will say, and this might give us a little bit of an indication as to what she's going through at the moment, is this age restriction clearly hit her mental health very hard, which I think is concerning on a couple of levels, because ultimately what we're saying for this particular situation, not today's one, is I am upset that I can't get money from children, from minors who really shouldn't be looking at my content anyway, and I'm going to be upset enough that I'm just going to completely bail on social media completely. And the other thing that's concerning is when it comes to things in your life, I think it's wonderful to be passionate about something and it's wonderful to feel fulfilled by something. But when the thing that you're interacting with or engaging in is consuming so much of your life that any sort of hurdle presented causes a tailspin, I would argue that that thing is not healthy for your well-being. It's kind of the everything in moderation theory, right? And I think when it comes to TikTok specifically, but also social media for Eugenia, it's clearly a really unhealthy thing for her. And I would argue that while she's online, she's probably not going to be able to get better. I think the online persona and the the feedback that she gets from people and the payoffs that she gets from it are actually part of her declining cycle in her mental health. And I see no reason that this would not be going on for today's ban either. And I think that, considering the health episodes that we've seen recently and adding on to the grief of losing a beloved pet, and then adding on the mental health issues surrounding this, I think that this could actually be a potentially dangerous situation for Eugenia, and it's definitely worth keeping that in mind.
I know like there'll be some people that, will get kind of mad at me not being around and think like I'm trying to scare people or like whatever, but that's really not the case. And to the people that, actually do care and stuff, like thank you guys. I really do appreciate that a lot.
And this makes it so difficult for me to be able to decipher whether she's being sincere or manipulative here, because she is out and out saying that she knows what everyone is thinking. She knows that people are upset when she doesn't comment when she's away for an extended period of time. She knows that people think it's a manipulation to spike her numbers. And by the way, oh boy, do her numbers spike when she does this. Although not really to her credit at the moment, since she's demonetized. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I'm sure that she's inundated constantly with these kind of comments. So would you want to be leaving a comment about being away? I don't know, because if you think about the existence that Eugenia must have online, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why she would want to subject herself to this, which is why I think it's part of the mental health cycle. That constantly comments, messages, just being inundated all the time about, what you're doing, we're waiting to see you pass, we think you're faking it. And if you're not manipulating, to have those kind of comments constantly would be extraordinarily draining on the psyche.
Staff has been such a big part of my life like this last year. Pretty much I feel like all my friends are on here and getting to like connect with them and connect with people. It's honestly just been like the most fun and happiest that I've been online in like
literally years. She cut herself off in the editing there. And of course, the friends she's talking about are Jeffree Star and his little clutch of broody hens running around him. And we know that these aren't friends. We know these aren't good quality people for her. And we know that they don't give a single cluck about her because they mock her behind her back. And I think potentially what was going on at this time was, prior to the age ban, she was in battles constantly, and she was always talking to Jeffree and Barb's and Rich Lux. And like, Rich Lux, by the way, totally befuddles me because he seems to be in the circle, but then he goes and talks shit about them on his videos. So I don't know what that situation is. But then when the age restriction hit, she felt like she couldn't go into lives with them. And I have no doubt that they probably dropped off the map for her because they're in this kind of mean girl clique where she's been essentially ostracized by the system, so they're going to turn their backs on her at that point.
In the future, I want to just kind of like try to do things better and say that I'm sorry about videos that I think when I've put out, I wasn't really maybe like thinking much about. Looking back, I'm just kind of trying to like reflect on things and just think of like, ways or videos that I can do better like on my end. And I just always do want to be clear to everybody that I never would mean any harm. That's never my intention. I guess a lot of the time I've just kind of seen it as like people just kind of like judging me about how I look, or, like maybe not as big of a deal as like how some people would like take what I'm putting out sometimes.
So this is an interesting way of dancing around the fact that at that point in time, different social media platforms started defining what promoting EDs looked like. And one thing that I will say, and I'll go into it in a little bit, but prior to this video, we were seeing a lot more skin with Eugenia. And it was after this age restriction that we started seeing a lot of the, long sleeve lacy tops and dresses and hoodies and jumpers. And we started to see a much more modest version of Eugenia. So clearly that was the action that was corrected, which kind of implies that that's exactly why she was age restricted in the first place. And I will say that TikTok specifically hates my young Eugenia content. It pulls it down all the time because they don't even want the midriff showing. I'll go into their terms of service in a second. But although I've heard a lot of theories and rumors around why she's been demonetized this time, I can't actually find any hard and fast evidence for what it was. So I've heard a few things floated, a couple being like, it's because she was grieving her dog. I couldn't find any reference to talking about grieving a loved one being against terms of service in TikTok. Some people are saying she broke the actual TikTok shop terms of service, and some people are saying that she did something in her live that caused a demonetization. But as far as I'm concerned, because I can't confirm anything right now, we don't know why she was demonetized. But if you do have any information that I specify is verifiable and not just your opinion and not just a rumor that you heard somewhere, verifiable information, I would be really interested to hear that. So shoot it through. By the way, I have social media set up now, linked in the description so that you can send me things now. So let me know if you know something. But she started this clip by saying, and I quote, "In the future, I just want to kind of like try to do things better." And I think it's really clear that having this ban this time, in contrast to that age restriction, nothing's really changed. She's still not showing the respect deserved for all of those people who support her, not just emotionally, but financially as well, by letting them know that she's okay if she is okay. And she's still clearly doing things that the platforms don't like. Usually, unless it's really egregious, the platforms are going to give you warnings before they start to take action. So this didn't really stand up that well to time, did it?
This has kind of been like the only place that I've kind of felt like accepted, like in so long online, and kind of like where people will treat me as a person. So that's why, like, I noticed some people, they might be like, this isn't even a big deal, like, she's going on about this. But just to me, where, like, I've honestly felt pretty alone in things for a really long time. And this app has just kind of really made me feel more accepted and stuff like that. So just kind of having like so much, it feels like taken from me so suddenly has just really, really felt like a lot.
So I'm really not hearing any kind of accountability for the actions that she did to lead to this outcome. The consequences to your actions. Every action has a consequence. Sometimes consequences are positive, but in this case, it wasn't. I think it's really clear to see this kind of victimhood being layered over her. And I'm almost wondering, is that what's happening at the moment? And is that why she doesn't let the people know that she's okay? Because it's kind of like she's seeing herself as this true victim. Well, I've been nothing but good to this platform. I've been nothing but good to the people. And now it's all been taken away from me and I'm just going to huddle in my room. It's a really concerning kind of, she says that she's been feeling alone, and sadly, I don't think feeling alone is an unusual experience for people at some point in their lives, but to put all of your eggs in the basket of a platform that doesn't like your content, a platform that actively wants to ban your content, is a really dangerous thing for mental health. And although I'm sure that the actions that have led to this demonetization for her are her own actions and nothing more, I think it would be odd for TikTok to have a vendetta against her and say, we're going to ban her for any little, if she looks the wrong way, if she breathes. I don't think that's the case, because at the end of the day, their motivation is to make money. But I just can't help but put myself in the position and try to imagine what she's going through at the moment. And I would say that things mentally for her are not doing well. And I really hope that she's using this time to look after herself physically and mentally. But my gut feeling is that she will make a return at some point, make a little apology video like this, and then continue on as though nothing's happened. And as I said in my last Eugenia video, if she does expect to just come back as though nothing's happened, I do think that the way that she handles her business and the way that she handles her public is not acceptable for this kind of sustained absence with absolutely no consideration at all for how anybody else is feeling about it.
I guess all I can try to do is be the best version of me that I can be. I think like sometimes I'm just kind of so used to some people, not everybody, but some people just being so mean to like the point where I kind of feel like people just kind of see me as like a problem, and kind of forget that I'm a human, which is okay. You know, I'm not trying to like say this just with me. I think like sometimes though, it's just important to just like remember that like we're all people and then we're all just kind of learning. We're all going to make mistakes sometimes, and you can just kind of try to do better and learn from things and just try to be kind to each other. I feel like that's really important because sometimes I just feel like being really mean and just attacking other people really doesn't do anyone any good. So I hope everything I'm saying makes sense. And I'll probably like explain more or get more into things like soon. So, all right. Love you guys.
And I think she's right about, people make mistakes and then they learn. And I'm absolutely certainly in that camp. And there's a great many things that I've learned in my time doing YouTube videos. But the problem with Eugenia, like a lot like Amberlynn actually, is that historically we don't see a learning. And that's not to say that she's not at the point in her journey now where this is going to be a turning point and she's going to get her life together and she's going to look after her health and all of the wrongs are going to be righted. That could absolutely be the case. Any of these could be the catalyst that starts something like that. But we all look at past behavior in order to predict what's coming immediately. And historically, there just has been no learning at all. And I think even though I haven't played the whole video for you, I think even in these clips, and even considering that this is well over a year ago, you can really see the cognitive decline there because some of these clips are just barely coherent. Just barely. And I really do think that she's kind of focusing the best she can to put out what she can in order to keep doing what she feels like makes her happy, even though I would argue what she thinks is making her happy is actually making her much worse. Okay, so the 2004 age restriction and today's ban do have something in common. There was something that happened globally around this time. So at the time of this age restriction, as I mentioned, a lot of social media platforms were redefining what promoting EDs looked like. Now, I do have a small problem with TikTok because while they do pull down clips of Eugenia, they don't pull down clips of Amberlynn. So I still think there's a double standard going on there. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that. But what's happening right now is there is in the UK and I believe the EU and Australia is about to follow suit. There's a lot of talk about putting heavier age restrictions on social media, and it's going to be a matter of law, essentially, that these companies follow these restrictions. And it is possible that this one actually lines up with what's been happening in the UK, and it predates it just a little bit. So maybe TikTok was tightening up what it deems okay for underage viewers, or potentially trying to distance itself a little bit from what it wants to be encouraging people making money on, for example. So I did a little bit of digging into the terms of service and terms and conditions of some of these social media platforms, just so you didn't have to. And I just wanted to highlight some things here. So under their mental and behavioral health section, there is a section for EDs and body image specifically. What we used to be looking at was to promote an ED would be actively saying, this is how you do it. If you want to look like me, this is what you do, and things like that. But they changed this. And they say that we want TikTok to be a place that encourages self-esteem and does not promote negative social comparisons. We do not allow showing or promoting EDs and dangerous ED behaviors or facilitating the trade or marketing of ED or muscle gain products. And they go on to say that flat out not allowed is extremely low calorie diet, BE behaviors, misusing medications or supplements for ED and exercising through serious injuries or illness, showing or promoting unhealthy body measurements and checking trends. Sorry, my nuggets, you have to bear with me. I really need to censor this to make it YouTube safe. But then under the restricted, so this would be an age restriction for 18 years and older, showing, describing, promoting, or offering or requesting coaching for potentially harmful weight management behaviors, exercises designed for rapid and significant loss. But interestingly, in this section, you can have promoting weight loss or muscle gain products, such as sharing before and after, which to me conflicts with the previous section a little. Promoting body types as quote unquote ideal or perfect when associated with potentially harmful management behaviors. Showing or promoting cosmetic surgery that does not include risk warnings. This is what I think got Eugenia age restricted over a year ago, because she was doing some dance routines and some workout routines with her Jack Skellington dolls, using them like weights, basically. So it looked like she was exercising like that. And that directly is restricted. As you can see there, it's under the restricted 18 years and older. But very interestingly and worth mentioning, in the allowed section, there's a range of things that you can see there, but it does include physical disabilities and differently abled bodies. So they are making a distinction between something that is ED related and something that is not a mental health condition, which is problematic when you think about it in one way, because it's not allowing for people with a mental disability in that way, but it is allowing for physical things. And I get what they're trying to do. I think some of this wording is problematic though. And then in their sensitive and mature theme section, there's a section for undress and exposure, which I also found very interesting pertaining to Eugenia. And they say, we celebrate all shapes and sizes and want you to feel comfortable in how you present yourself and your body. We understand society's approach body exposure and clothing differently, so we seek to reflect prevailing cultural practices. We do not allow a state of undress. This includes a bunch of things I can't say on YouTube. Most specifically, what was interesting is in the completely not allowed section, not even the restricted section, but the not allowed, it highlights showing semi-undress or significant exposure of young people, such as extremely cropped shirts or only wearing underwear or lingerie. And I think that some of the things that Eugenia was wearing in her videos on her TikTok page could absolutely be considered underwear or lingerie. So when you think about it, like a crop top is not really showing a great deal of skin, but here TikTok is defining that as not even just age restricted, but flatly not allowed. Before this age restriction, we were seeing so much skimpy attire from Eugenia on her lives, on her videos that she would post. These are just some examples, but to be quite honest with you, not even the most extreme examples. And we were seeing so many of these. I actually had to go digging for these because she's now deleted not just on TikTok, but anything that is skimpy or revealing on Instagram and YouTube as well. So all of that content is just completely gone. And I would say that while TikTok is the strictest with enforcing things like this, all of the platforms have terms and conditions surrounding this kind of topic. So we know that she's not making money on TikTok at the moment, but is she making money elsewhere? She hasn't been posting a great deal of content for quite a while on her Instagram, so I don't know realistically how much money she would be getting from that anyway. So unless there is an OF account that none of us are aware of, and like, I gotta be honest with you, Nuggets, I feel like if that existed, it would have been leaked by now, surely. Right? So that means the only other platform with decent revenue is YouTube, but she hasn't even been that active on YouTube. And one thing that I will say about the terms of service in YouTube is they have an inactivity clause. So TikTok doesn't explicitly say that if you're inactive on it for a certain period of time that they will demonetize you, but they do say that it may affect your revenue income because if you're not consistent with it, they may see you as an unreliable account. So they may deviate the algorithm elsewhere and you kind of get impacted in that way. But YouTube does have an inactivity clause. It actually says, this is straight off their website, stay active to keep making money. As the YouTube Partner Program continues to grow, it's important to maintain a healthy, active ecosystem of channels. To focus our support for creators who are active and engaged with the community, we may turn off monetization on channels that haven't uploaded a video or posted to the post tabs for 6 months or more. Now, notice they say may. This is not saying that it is by default going to be demonetized, but they might look at it. And if they do an audit, perhaps they will make that call. And Twitch actually works much the same way. You lose your partner or affiliate status if you haven't had a certain amount of live streams in any given moment, or if you haven't had enough duration on these lives. So in looking at Eugenia's YouTube channel, we can see that the last video she posted was 9 months ago. And I covered that video at the time. That was actually my first Eugenia video that I ever covered. Her last short was on the 9th of December. So again, like 9 months ago. And her last post was 2 years ago. So she is absolutely falling outside that 6-month activity. And I don't know if she's aware of it or if she even cares, but I would have thought out of all of the platforms, YouTube is actually weirdly the most forgiving around the kind of content that Eugenia wants to make. But I suppose its live system is not as good as TikTok, and TikTok have done an amazing job gamifying their lives to basically try and trick people out of their money the best that they possibly can be. So long story short, across all platforms at the moment, Eugenia looks like she's on shaky ground. The strongest at the moment is looking like Instagram, but it's also worth noting that that's her least followed as well. Is it possible that she's trying to get monetized being on Lemon 8? Maybe, but the fact that the content is so sporadic, I kind of think that she probably hasn't been able to be monetized on that, which makes sense to me based on the account sharing with TikTok. And the lack of publicity around how long these bans last on TikTok makes it really kind of, well, when would she be coming back? Because you probably would go to those logical 30, 60, 90 days. And if we're at 47 now, well, potentially she's going to be gone for a while more. And here's what I kind of expect we're going to see. I do expect that if Eugenia is okay, she will probably make a return as soon as the ban is lifted. She will thank her supporters. She'll apologize for being away, saying that she just needed to get her mental health right, but ultimately not having actually done anything to get her mental health right. And I think at that point, we will kind of continue on as we were. If she's not okay, I really am curious how it will play out. You know, will the family leave her YouTube channel there? Is it making money? Would they even care? I can tell you from experience as a YouTube creator, a lot of her videos will be age restricted or demonetized just because of the content that's in them. So some of them are like from a time that YouTube did not have as stricter rules on them, and they're just totally not okay now. And in watching them, particularly going back, I've gone, wow, I can't show that. I can't show that. I can't show that. If I want my video to be monetized in any way and actually shown to people, I have to edit that out or I have to mute it. So, you know, would the family leave it up? Would the family let us know if she's not okay and something really bad has happened? But what I can say is there's a lot of rumors going around at the moment, as there always are, every time Eugenia goes missing like this. And I only have an interest in sharing verifiable information. And so far, this is everything I've been able to find so far. So I hope that kind of filled the little void. I think it's a video that needed to be made. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you're still here, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And that is all the clucks I have left to give. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey, 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 hey! I'm gonna go watch another video.